Want to learn how you can turn your website into your best sales asset? Well, stick around because today I'm interviewing Jasmine from Cupid Copy and we're chatting all things sales and websites. Welcome to Coffee and SEO, where we sit down for a coffee hour together and simplify SEO, making it super approachable for your business. I'm Taylor, your host and the founder of Aligned SEO. And at Aligned SEO, we specialize in helping photographers, creatives, and service providers get visible online and reach their dream clients through holistic SEO strategies. Whether you're looking to increase your Google rankings, attract more dream clients, or just make sense of SEO, I will be your SEO guide and bestie. So let's simplify SEO, align it with your goals, and get your website working just as hard as you do so you can get back to doing what you love. Jasmine Isabella is a website copywriter who helps female business owners transform their websites into their best sales assets. With a focus on connection-driven, SEO-friendly copy, she crafts messaging that feels authentic, aligns with her clients' brands, and is intentionally structured to sell without those icky tactics. I'm excited to chat with her today to make your website the best sales asset it can be. I'm really excited to have you on the podcast, Jasmine. I'm excited to hear a little bit more about you and your journey into copywriting, and I know my audience is going to get so much value from you.
Thank you so much, Taylor. I am very excited to be here. I feel like this is the best way to start the new year for me.
Yes, and I mean for everyone too. I think we're all in that mode of wanting to better our business and have a good foundation for 2025. So this is going to be amazing. Well, I would love to just start with hearing a little bit more about your journey, how you got here, and yeah, your path here.
Yeah, of course. So I always say copywriting for me was like the dream job that I never knew existed because I was studying for my English literature degree, and it was during COVID, so a lot of like the world shut down, and at the time I was working in sales, and obviously when the world shut down, that shut down with it, and I started looking for a job I could do online alongside my degree to kind of keep things going, but also just because I always like to be busy and I'm kind of always looking for that next thing. And then alongside that, I did think I would be, maybe somewhere in London doing like an internship at this point in life because I always wanted to be a writer in some capacity. And then I just stumbled across copywriting one day online, and fell down a complete rabbit hole. Like I said, I didn't know it existed, and it blew my mind because it really combined that love of sales that I had with English, which I was studying, and it just felt like it was meant to be. So I actually started with SEO. So I started writing
Okay.
SEO blog posts. And I did that for a few years. And then when I graduated, I took the business full time. And that's when it became more of a copywriting studio and really honed in on website copy in particular.
Wow. Okay. So your journey was like all of the different pieces that make really strong copy.
Yeah, I like to think of it that way, definitely. Like I said, I adore it so much, and it just felt like the dream job. And I was kind of like, how did I not know this existed? Because when you study English, it's always like, are you going to go into marketing or are you going to be a teacher? And I knew I didn't want to be a
Oh.
teacher, and I didn't really know if I wanted to go into marketing. But then when I came across copywriting and website copywriting in particular, because I'd always spent a lot of time online, I was like, well, this kind of felt like it was meant to be.
Yeah, it does seem like that. I love that you have especially like an SEO background because that's so important for a highly converting website. But also I think that piece of sales too, which is interesting. I think I don't know, a lot of people maybe don't think about that side of things of actually making your website a sales asset, and I know that's something that you specialize in. So what does that mean to make your website a sales asset for your business?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that sometimes when people talk about copy, they don't see the whole picture and how it is sales ultimately. Communication is sales, and it can kind of be brushed off as like telling your story or writing or whatever, about your offers, whatever it may be. But it really is that sales conversation. And when I talk about your website being a sales asset, it is making sure that every decision you make is tailored towards conversion. So you're increasing booking and sales through your website. And this can look like really every element of your website. So it might be looking at the structure, but also client navigation, but also those personal points. Everything contributes to whether you're making sales or you're not on your website.
I totally agree. And I think, yeah, SEO, copywriting, design, navigation, like all of them kind of in combination can contribute or not contribute to a
Yeah.
highly converting website. And I don't know if that's normal for a copywriter to think about all the different elements, even to navigation, maybe it is, but I love that you
Mm.
take all of it into account when you're working with
Oh,
someone.
thank you. Yeah, I really do because there is a lot that goes into a website and all of it matters a lot. But I hate to see someone investing a lot in a website and then maybe overlooking something that's going to stop them from achieving their goals. So, for example, if someone wants to be attracting clients kind of behind the scenes and focusing on other elements of their business, but they've not looked at that SEO component, they're really doing themselves a disservice there. So it's making sure that at the beginning, you outline what you want your website to do for you, how you want it to function, and then making sure you're pouring into each part so that it can reach its full potential and achieve the goals that you have as a business owner
Mhm.
and as, just a person with a business.
Yes, I 100% agree, and that makes so much sense. Yeah, your website has to align with business goals and work for you. I love that. You mentioned a little bit on website structure, and I'm curious because, yeah, from a copywriting standpoint, I'm curious what is maybe the most optimal way, and maybe it's different for everybody, but to structure your website copy in order to create those conversions.
Yeah, that is such a good question. And like you said before, it might not be something you generally think is related to your copy, but it is a huge part of what I do. And I also think the websites that are built where a website designer and a copywriter can work together are always the most powerful because you really have that navigation and that structure working for you, and you have kind of two brains looking at how you can guide your lead through the sales process. I think the easiest way to approach structure is to just think of it logically, like a sales conversation. So any good salesman isn't going to kind of bulldoze in with like that buy my thing energy. I mean, some of them I'm sure do, but it's not how we like to be approached. So it's
Hmm.
just being rational. So you might want to go in with an introduction on like who you are and what you do, and then show them that you understand the problem that they're facing, or maybe if they're not yet problem aware, highlighting what that problem is for them or that future problem that could arise. I'm very I always like to lead with empathy and understanding because I feel like that is the best way to
Hmm.
nurture sales and partnerships that are worthwhile and enjoyable for both sides. And it's also ethical, in my opinion. But
Hmm.
so making sure that you're highlighting that problem and then you can provide that solution. So your service, talk about it, why it's the best fit. How it works, what might make you different to other competitors out there, all of that good stuff. And then looking at things like credibility and trust. So who you are, like past experiences you've had, where you might situate in the industry, different things like
Hmm.
that. And then also making sure you're calling to action throughout. So keep inviting people into your offer. That's something I think a lot of people overlook because you've done all that
Yes.
kind of like laying out the pathway, guiding them along, and then you're like, that's it. But you've actually got to say, if you want to solve that problem or fulfill that desire, I can do that for you.
Yeah, yeah, that is so true. I've come across so many websites as I'm working on their SEO, and it is pretty common for people to forget to put calls to action or buttons throughout their website. Like sometimes I'll come across a page and there's like maybe just one button at the very top,
Yeah.
and then there's no more. So that is so important. I think making it easy for the viewer to take that next step is so valuable.
Yeah, I would emphasize that so much because I see it in myself too. Modern consumers are very lazy. Like, I'm
Mhm.
not someone that's going to be scrolling for days or like looking at lots of different things or having to seek out pricing or how to book or whatever it is. I'm a lazy buyer and lots of people are. So they want it all on the page for them. They want it to be easy to digest. They want it to be clear that you are their perfect match. And so, as the business owner or your copywriter, that is their job to be able to provide that for your buyer.
Yeah, that does make your website more of a sales asset, like you said, or even act as a sales person, and
Hmm.
makes the work so much easier for then us, even on a sales call, they'll be that much
Yeah,
closer.
yeah, 100%. I think also what I'll add on is this idea of like sales can feel quite scary, especially maybe more in like creative industries or people that are using something like their expertise that they're really passionate about. And there's that whole like, I don't want to be icky or I don't want to be too salesy, but it is about serving your audience. And if you're doing it, like I said, with, honesty, empathy, and understanding, you're making their life easier at the end of the day because you're guiding them through that process to solving or fulfilling something that they're looking for.
Yeah, yeah, I really love what you said there at the end, fulfilling something that they're looking for. And I feel like, especially with leads that have found you through Google, they have the intent of finding their person. And so making it easier for them to self-identify with that ideal client avatar or the problem and the solution, and knowing that you're their guide and making it so much easier for them to do that will only just help attract and deter.
Yeah, yeah, very true. I always say like your website copy will repel the wrong people and bring in the right ones.
Well, yeah, this is so valuable. I think, especially like you said, to creatives who like that word sales is, it truly is like, it feels so big and scary and sleazy, but it doesn't have to be. And I think writing copy that is a reflection of our
Hmm.
personalities and aligns with our brand and shows empathy and is helpful, that seems like it would be key. So for you, like how do you help business owners make sure that their website really aligns to the business and personality of the owner?
Yeah, of course. The thing I was going to mention about that idea of like sales being scary, especially for creatives, so like photographers, or any kind of like wedding pros, whatever it may be, who they feel like they maybe aren't solving a problem as such, or they don't like this idea of highlighting problems, like they shy away from pain point marketing. What you mentioned before about flipping it on its head and looking at you as fulfilling a desire or providing something that they're looking for can be a really helpful mindset shift when you're writing your own copy or doing your own marketing. So you don't have to feel like you're kind of bringing people down with your sales, but rather you're lifting them up. And providing something positive for them. Because I did have a conversation with a photographer a couple of weeks ago, and she was like, I've never resonated with this idea of like pain points because what
Mm.
she does is so joyful. So I think that's always a helpful
Ah.
shift. What I will say about making it a true reflection of you, but also working as a sales asset, is to
Mhm.
not look at them as two separate things, because really, for your website to be the most powerful sales asset it can be, it should be a reflection of you. I know it's very cliche and overused, but people do need to know, like, and trust you. And that comes
Mhm.
from sharing who you are, whether it's, the personal information or just being personable and true to your personality. I'm not saying like you have to share all your deepest, darkest secrets, but just sharing an honest reflection of yourself through your voice or through your message and what you believe in, because that's going to foster that connection, which will then lead to later conversion.
Mhm.
But I will also say there are little things that you can do in terms of looking at what your ideal client expects of you or what they want from
Mm.
you. So there might be more parts of you or your story that are relevant to them. Something that I will talk about a lot is my English degree and my sales background because it inspires credibility in what I do now more than maybe like what my favorite coffee order is. I'm not
Mm.
saying I won't share that information, but it's not something I would hone in on as much as that other element that I know is actually
Yeah.
relevant to what I'm selling and who they want me to be.
That makes so much sense. Because, yeah, we do all have so many amazing parts of us, but
Mhm.
not all of it is necessarily going to be helpful in the sales realm. And I mean, one thing that I did learn, because I have a background in photography,
Yeah.
what I learned is that like the about blurbs or on the about page, instead of listing out like you said, a coffee order or my favorite breed of dog, that was super random, but you know what I mean.
Love
Maybe
that.
talking more about how my experience relates to this ideal client. And it has,
Mhm.
I mean, it really did help, and it helps to build that connection. And I think the trust too.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And that's not to say things like your favorite breed of dog aren't relevant, because if someone has the same favorite breed of dog as you, that is going to be like an instant
Mm,
connection. You know, when you find someone that loves the same film as you or reads the same books, you do foster that connection
yeah.
almost instantaneously. But it's about knowing the hierarchy of the information. So just again, going back to that
Mm,
structure. So maybe your story, which mirrors an experience they've been through, that is going to be before the fun facts and things, because that
mhm,
is more powerful, more influential, inspires more trust and credibility than those things, than those like fun facts, which you
mm,
can then put further down the page because they're not as
mhm.
persuasive or motivating or whatever it may be. So just thinking about the structure of the information you share as well.
Yeah. Ooh, I love that. The hierarchy of the information and how important it
Mm,
is. Yeah, I really
yeah.
love that. And I think, I mean, I just wrote an article, I did some research on like 2025 website and SEO trends. And I guess that kind of brings up into my mind the importance of sharing that experience and really like working to connect with those website viewers and readers, because I think we're now living in a world of like we're getting bombarded by sales on social media. Everyone's trying to sell something. We also have AI changing the game. And so I feel like it is becoming really, really important to have a website that really stands out and shows personality and, like you said, experience, and builds trust, because that's maybe the one of the only things that can help us stand out is our personalities and experiences.
Yeah, it's so true. I'm interested to see what 2025 is going to look like. But even at the end of 2024, I was seeing a lot more personality being pulled through, whether it's on the website or marketing in other capacities. And I think that is only going to increase as we kind of go further and as things like AI develop, because that is, you know, that is our one thing that we can leverage is our humanity. And again, that comes back to the idea of empathy and understanding is so important when you're writing as well, because you can truly understand your ideal client on a human level, whereas AI can never do that.
Mm,
So you can make sure that they feel seen and understood. And again, that is going to foster a real connection with them through
mhm.
the screen.
Yes, yes, that emotion and empathy piece is, yeah, so important. Yeah.
Mhm.
So that kind of brings us to this last topic of like connecting SEO and your website copy. How does SEO influence how effective at sales your website can be?
Yeah, I love this question so much because I feel like SEO just makes your website an even more powerful sales asset. Like I mentioned in that scenario before, if you want more of a hands-off experience, more of a hands-off sales experience, SEO is going to be your best friend because you can pour into your SEO so that it is bringing traffic to you from Google. And obviously there is work to be done there in terms of, you know, creating content, making sure everything is SEO optimized. But if you don't want to be on that kind of content hamster wheel and constantly pushing on
Mm,
Instagram or whatever it may be, you can optimize your website for SEO and bring that traffic to you, and then have your website do the work in terms of connecting with your leads and then converting them.
mm,
And it can be a really seamless process where you don't have to be there. You know, you don't have to be there to answer DMs or to kind of push them towards the website, whatever it may be. That work is being done through for you through the SEO and then the website copy being conversion ready.
yeah, yeah, I love that. There's so many layers to it. I think, yeah, if SEO is kind of that traffic generation,
Traffic,
and
yeah.
then kind of going through that funnel of if you have highly converting copy and good CTAs all over your website, and yeah, funneling them to reaching out. What I've found about like SEO leads that find at least me and my clients through Google is that when I look at the back end in the analytics, the engagement rate or time is so much higher. Like you'll see 1 to 5 minutes versus people that came from a direct link or social media at like 30 to or 20 to 40 seconds. So it's really interesting. The people that often find us through Google are at least my theory is that they're a little bit further along in the sales process than the people that find us on social media.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with that. And I feel like it's a no-brainer because people that are finding you on Google are actively searching for you,
Hmm.
whether they've come across you on a blog post that's relevant to what you offer, or they've actively looked for your services. Like you said, they're already that little bit further along. Whereas with social media, yes, you will have people come through like that, but lots of social media is kind of being nosy, a little bit of stalking, procrastination. Like there's so many other reasons someone might land on your website. Whereas I think with SEO, there's a little bit more intention there and they're a little bit they're more primed to buy further along in the
Hmm.
journey. And you know, that's only good news for you because you want your leads to be converting, you want your traffic to be
Hmm.
converting.
Totally, totally. And I think the other thing too is that even if you've got like good SEO and you're bringing in traffic, that doesn't necessarily mean that your website is going to bring you a lot of leads because, I mean, as we kind of learned today, you also need really good copy to be able to convert them.
Yeah, it's such a shame when you see someone doing so well with their marketing. You know, they've got the numbers and they've got the traffic flowing to the website, but the website isn't conversion ready, the copy isn't acting as that sales asset, and all it's doing is basically making your marketing effort redundant because they're landing on your website and they're thinking, oh, this person isn't for me, or I don't need what they're offering, or they're not the right person for what I'm looking for, whatever it may be. Loads of different things could be turning them off. So you've done all that hard work, all that heavy lifting
Mhm.
to drive them to your website, only for your website to be like, okay, bye. Um, and
Yeah.
and then they're gone within like a matter of seconds, which is really disheartening.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, they all kind of relate to each other. Like I said, the SEO, copy, design, good navigation, the technical side, technical SEO, everything has to kind of come together to create this really amazing, highly converting website that has traffic going to it.
Yeah, it's a lot and it can feel like a lot, but I think that like I mentioned before, I'm really dedicated and passionate to making people aware of really what goes into a website that works to its full potential because I
Mm,
think sometimes we can kind of be sold this idea of like building a website and you just think like that's just one person building a website. But if you speak to any designer, SEO specialist, copywriter, there's so many different moving pieces and we all want each of them to be working the best they can because ultimately that's what's going to drive the results. So,
mm,
it's always music to my ears if I hear my clients working with a great designer and an SEO specialist because we can bring all of that expertise together and create the best possible outcome from it. But I understand that it can feel a little bit scary when you're like, oh, I thought I just had to have my website designed, and then suddenly there's all these different parts as well. But
right.
it depends what way you look at it. It can be exciting or it can be a little bit intimidating, and whatever way you look at it is completely fine.
That's so true. But the good thing is, I feel like with a website, like you said, once you kind of get all those things in place, it can be such a powerful sales asset versus being on that hamster wheel of social media and always having to create content. So they are
Yeah.
different. I mean, a lot of work up front to get everything in place, versus always having to produce. So it's
Yeah.
so it's so worth it.
Yeah, it's so true. And I imagine you have this as well, where maybe people invest in SEO and then it's a little bit frustrating for them because it takes a while to see the results, or things aren't instantaneous, or
Mm,
there's other elements as well. But it is the idea of like if you do it right the first time, you don't have to
yeah.
continue picking up the pieces or kind of taping over the holes. If you say you're great at driving traffic, your website's beautiful, but it's not converting, then you've obviously got a copy issue there. Or if you've got all the other elements, but there's no traffic there, maybe you've got an SEO issue, rather than kind of feeling like you're always plugging holes. If you get it right the first
Yeah.
time, then like you said, it's going to pay off for you in the long run and cause you, limit that stress you might feel when you look at your website or you think of how your website's
Yes.
working.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. I think setting it all up right is definitely the way to go. Well, I loved hearing about your experience and your insights, especially, I mean, really on the whole like marketing front, everything from start to finish. Like you have so much value and knowledge. For listeners who might be interested in learning more about your services, can you share a little bit about your offers?
Yeah, of course. Thank you for that. That's so kind. So my signature offer is a website copywriting experience. So that is where I will write your website copy for you. At the beginning, we will look at what those goals are for you. So whether that is increasing sales, but also I have a lot of clients that have other goals, where like more speaking opportunities, establishing their brands, collaboration, whatever it may look like, because your business and your goals are unique to you. So we'll look at what they are, and then using the data and using all of my little copywriting techniques, etc., I will go away and write a website that is working towards those goals to the best of its ability, whether that is, like I said, sales or potentially something else, but usually it's sales because
Mhm.
we're running businesses at the end of the day.
Yes, yes. But that is so true. I think everyone has slightly different goals for their website.
Yeah,
So,
it's so true. There's different goals, and also things can look different for each person. So even if, you know, money is the big goal for you, that might look different to like the business next door.
mm,
One client might want to be working more and increasing revenue, whereas one might want to be a little bit more hands-off, like we said, so that they're not kind of in the weeds of marketing and doing all the bits, but they also want to increase their revenue. So it just looks different for everyone, which is why I'm really focused on uncovering what that looks like for you
yeah.
personally.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And really customizing it to business goals. That's
Yeah.
amazing. And then Jasmine also has some free resources that I think would be super valuable. One is a website copy outline. Can you share just a brief of what that is?
Yeah, of course. So it's like we mentioned a lot before about the structure of your website. It gives you an indication of what needs to go where on your home, about, and services page so that you can see what you need to put in each section and then just write your copy underneath so that you can trust the structure on your website that is having that sales conversation with your ideal client.
I love that. That's so useful. I'm gonna have to download it too.
Go for it.
I will link all of those things along with your social media accounts and handles in the description below. That way, listeners can reach out to you if they want to. Jasmine, thank you so much for being on Coffee and SEO. That was so valuable. You have an amazing background and so much knowledge, and I loved chatting with you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I've been really looking forward to this. And like I said, it's the best way to ease into the new year for me. I also have to say, I love the name of the podcast. I always wanted a podcast like copy and SEO, but I think it's already taken.
Ooh, oh,
So
that
yours
would
is
have been a
like the
good
next
one.
best thing. Yeah, I know. It's when I looked up on like Apple Podcasts and I already saw it was a thing. I was like, I'm not surprised. It works so well, but
Yeah, that is a
yours
good
is the
one.
next best thing.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And thank you all for listening. I will see you in the next episode.